Pakistan now has rounded up several people who helped in the raid on Osama bin Laden. For more on the arrest of the informants and the already strained relationship between the United States and Pakistan, we welcome Emily Cadei, foreign policy staff writer for CQ Roll Call. Good morning. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
We got to start with the comments made by Robert Gates there. I found his just sort of openness to be rather refreshing, actually. What did you think when you saw that?
Well, it was a great exchange. It sort of illuminated, I think, in a blunt way what we're dealing with here. And of course, in a lot of ways it is true. We just found Russia had spies in the U.S. a year or two ago, and they're considered a close ally now. We've seen Robert Gates be a little more candid, given the fact that he's retiring at the end of the month. So he's able to talk a little more freely, I think, than he might have a few years ago in his careers.
It is a very interesting relationship. We need Pakistan in the hunt for terrorists and for that route into Afghanistan. They need us mainly for the money. Talk about where we are right now with the relationship.
We're at a really tense point. It always seems like there's a new low in Pakistani relations, but they're saying again this is a new low since 2001, since we sort of reinitiated our relationship with them after 9/11. I think a lot of the challenges come from domestic pressures on both sides. In Pakistan, anti-American sentiment is very high. The army there is under a lot of pressure after the bin Laden raid, after we found and killed bin Laden on their soil and didn't alert them. To them, that was a huge violation, and also just wounded their pride. There's
embarrassing.
Criticism. Yes, exactly. And so there's a lot of pressure within the rank and file of the army to strike back. But again, obviously in the U.S., we're angry that bin Laden was there in the first place.
Right. Now this news, and you touched on it, Emily, but 5 have been arrested for helping the CIA here. When I initially heard this, I thought, well, shouldn't they be giving them some sort of covert parade that they helped to get Osama bin Laden? But is this more embarrassing? What is Pakistan saying to us when these 5 are detained?
Well, they're denying a lot of the details, actually. This has been leaked by U.S. officials to the New York Times and the Washington Post. So it's a little bit murky, the details, but they're arguing that they, in fact, don't have anyone from the Army detained. So it's a little bit unclear what they're saying. Leon Panetta, our CIA director, was in Pakistan last week, and we believe he raised these issues. But it wasn't ultimately a terribly successful meeting. He came back without a lot to show for it.
Very interesting indeed. Also, more fallout. The country has kicked out some 130 or so U.S. Military trainers who were training their paramilitary. What is this saying, too?
Well, it raises questions about how much they want to cooperate on counterterrorism operations. We fund their military more than any other country. And if there's going to be questions, obviously, on Capitol Hill and in Washington about how much money we're giving them if they're not, in fact, cooperating, working with us, which was the intent of the funding in the first place, was to help train and fund their operations. So I think there's going to be a lot of questions. The House and Senate are going through their funding process right now for the next year, and we're already seeing movement towards tying strings to the funds, cutting funds, especially to the military, because, again, questions of cooperation. If they're not going to be working with us, why are we giving them billions of dollars?
What's the worst case scenario here? I know that's a huge question. Worst case scenario, U.S. says, okay, you know what? You're not really, like what I would tell my daughters, they're not really your friend. You know, just don't talk to them. What's the worst case scenario in this huge, complicated issue?
Well, I think there are some who are calling for a complete cutoff in relations, and I think what you'll hear from the State Department and from the White House is that's very dangerous, because regardless of the bumps in the road with Pakistan, they're in an incredibly strategic location in the world. They have a nuclear arsenal that some worry is not very well protected, and we need them to end this war we have in Afghanistan. And so I think the worst case scenario is that we completely cut off relations, and then we're in a worse place than we started in terms of all of these dynamics I just talked about.
We might be doomed to be frenemies then. All right, Emily Cadei is the foreign policy staff writer with CQ Roll Call. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Tony, over to you.
All right, Allison, thank you very much.